I'm Deborah, and we're from WW2 Network. In breaking news today, on February 19th, 1945, also known as D-Day, the Americans have invaded Iwo Jima in Japan. 30,000 American Marines landed on the island and faced 22,000 Japanese soldiers, who caught the Americans by surprise, reportedly by waiting until they approached the first bunker to attack. The Marines faced heavy fire from Mount Suribachi, however, where Japanese took shelter. The USA wants Iwo Jima because it serves Japan currently as a radio warning station, but it would serve well as an American airbase, and it would be easy to attack the main island of Japan by leapfrogging around the surrounding islands. The USA seized the nearby Marshall Islands previously, so Japan is prepared for defense, using the fortified geography of Iwo Jima to aid them. Now let's talk strategy. The Japanese have a strategy of not fighting above ground, which means that they will be using the fortified structure of Mount Suribachi to build tunnels and shelters. They also have declared that they want each soldier to kill 10 Americans before they die, and apparently the soldiers have an expectation that they would die, as they would rather perish than face invasion. They also are using kamikazes, or suicide bombers. The American strategy, however, is very different from this. The Americans will strike and surround the island on all sides, breach defenses, and storm the airfields. Now, for an in-depth look at the situation, my sister Carol is stationed live in Iwo Jima to get a good look at the battle that's going on. Thank you, Cheryl. This is Carol reporting live for WW2 Network. Here at Iwo Jima, we have just discovered a very important primary source. Here in Iwo Jima, at the scene of the battle, we have found a very important primary source that is almost certainly a journal kept by a Japanese soldier preparing for war. Let's take a look. Today I found out that Japan, and therefore I, am at war with the Americans along with 22,000 others. They want to conquer Iwo Jima and use the island for airfields to aid their bombers, a refueling station for their weapons. It is my duty to defend not only this island, but all of Japan, as an American victory would mean easy access for the Americans to bomb Japan. There is already a defensive strategy in place, wherein we will use the rocky terrain of Mount Suribachi to build our caves and tunnels, so we may fight beneath ground and preserve our troops. We will also use kamikazes, or suicide bombers, to bring down our American counterparts, a supreme sacrifice for our country. We will wait until the Americans march right up to our first bunker, luring them to a surprise attack. A part of our strategy is no Japanese survivors, meaning that if we are going to be defeated, which is likely, we will die rather than fall prey to the control of the Americans. I'm not familiar with the Americans and their cultures, but I would rather die than live, as it is well known that the Americans would implement slavery. We would be forced to do labor in China, and who knows what the harm may come to our family and children. If defeated, there will be mass suicides. How could one face their own family if they gave in to the enemy? I am a little afraid, as this may well be a brutal war. However, this fear does not admit impediment to my pride and loyalty to my country, and if necessary, I will fight to the death to defend it. More on this later.
Once again, the Allies and the USA have invaded Japan. On April 1st, after a long process of island hopping, the Allies wanted Okinawa for an airplane base, similar to Iwo Jima. The USA used 4 divisions of their army and 2 of their Marines, and the Japanese used their regular and Imperial Army, plus recruited local civilians and middle school boys for service. Allied naval ships worked to neutralize Japanese airfields and faced numerous attacks from Japanese kamikazes, a main source of defense for the Japanese. Now let's talk strategy. The Americans had a strategy of invasion by naval, amphibian, and air force reserves. Combined with Britain, the Allies used battleships, cruisers, fleet carriers, and submarines, armored vehicles, aircrafts, and torpedo bombers to take down ships. The Japanese used kamikaze tactics with planes, battleships, aircrafts, land-based motorboats, and guns as coastal artillery in Tengo. The Japanese strategy was mainly defensive and relied too heavily on the success of kamikaze attacks. For all you at home, here's a map of Okinawa.
Live from Studio WW2, we have breaking news on Iwo Jima. The Marines have advanced, and 40,000 more have joined them on Iwo Jima for backup. The imminent defeat of the Japanese is coming as they are running out of food, water, and supplies, and the Americans have chosen this time to storm the shelters on Mount Suribachi. More on this coming. For all you at home, here's a map of Iwo Jima. Well, it's March 26, 1945, and the Americans are now officially the victors at Iwo Jima. Many Japanese have fought to the death, and there are heavy casualties on both sides. Americans have reportedly suffered over 20,000 casualties, with over 4,000 killed. The Japanese, however, have suffered over 21,000 deaths, with around 200 taken prisoner. Part of this is reportedly due to the fact that many Japanese committed suicide rather than become prisoners of the Americans. It is a sad day in Iwo Jima. This is Carol reporting live from WW2 News. With the capture of Iwo Jima, the Americans have now implemented new airfields, and many Japanese are worried that they're planning to launch devastating atomic bombs on Japan. Here at WW2 News, we're wondering, is the war and violence ever going to stop in Japan? We will just have to wait and see, and you can find all the news here at WW2.